Welcome back to the village, everyone. We hope you enjoyed that trailer. Mercenaries drops you into the rich world of Azeroth with a unique perspective. Instead of being the almighty individual hero, you'll play leader to your own mercenary enterprise. This journey will take you to the far reaches of Azeroth, hunting bounties for increasingly dangerous foes to reap the rewards. And these jobs don't only net you nice coin, the battles along the way level up your mercenaries to unlock abilities and allow you to find upgradable items. Now I'm sure you're eager to venture off to take on your own dangerous and hopefully lucrative bounties, but first, let's join Valera in her hunt for Hagar and get familiar with an entirely new system of combat in Hearthstone Mercenaries. You may remember from our BlizzCon line announcement that Mercenaries is Hearthstone's take on an RPG experience with roguelike mechanics. Let's start by taking a look at a mercenary in play, where you'll first notice familiar attack and health stats. What's totally different is that each mercenary has a core set of unique abilities which appear as actions when selected. There's tremendous variety in how these can impact the battlefield: healing, buffing, summoning, sizzling, and of course, going face. Wait, there is no face. That's right. In Mercenaries, victory is achieved by wiping out your opponent's team. That might take some getting used to for Rexar. All abilities have a speed value, and some also have a cooldown. Speed determines the order of actions. The lower the number, the sooner that action will take place. Cooldowns, on the other hand, tend to come with the strongest abilities. When a mercenary comes into play, any of their abilities with cooldowns will be inactive until enough turns have passed. Once used, the timer starts again, and you'll definitely want to be making use of these potential game changers. In each round of combat, you'll first choose your team's moves in the command phase before watching the battle unfold all at once. Positioning, timing, and strategic planning of your turn are critical in the outcome of combat. This can be tough, as the state of the board may change considerably once the spells start flying, and that clutch meteor finisher you were banking on won't happen if the mercenary is fallen. So, you've probably also noticed the red, green, and blue coloring of each mercenary's stat bars. These represent if a minion is a protector, fighter, or caster respectively. We call these roles, and they play a major part in the makeup of mercenaries. Let's take a look with a couple examples. Meet the main tanks of mercenaries. While they aren't always the quickest, protectors love holding the front line and taking most of the punishment so that your squishies don't have to. With abilities that grant taunt and a cartload of endurance to boot, they'll help your team control the flow of the fight. Take a look at Jaraxxus, Eridar Lord of the Burning Legion. As you might notice, protectors can also dish out some serious damage. Trust me, you don't want to catch these fists if he's teamed up with demons. Next, let's take a look at the wielder of Tusks of Manaroth himself, Garrosh Hellscream. If anyone knows how to properly armor up for a fight, it's this guy. The more enemies, the merrier, as Garrosh's Horde Strength ability will add increasing bonuses to his health. Maybe think twice before you summon that extra minion. When you're looking to cut through the competition with raw damage and finesse, fighters are the way to go. Their high attack makes them key threats on the battlefield, along with abilities that keep your team's offensive pressure building. Check out War Master Voon. Favored by dragons and feared by enemies, this fighter will keep your opponents running for cover with a flurry of flame and axes. Voon can also summon additional dragons into the fight for a quick strike that simultaneously empowers his fire breath. If up close and personal is more your style, you're going to want a fighter like Samuro in your squad. Unleash a whirlwind of blade on your foes, or create deadly deception with mirror images. While the Blade Master doesn't have the highest health, direct damage is always a gambit, since a well-timed whirling blade can mitigate future damage. There's no denying that blades and brawn contribute to a formidable team's front line, but you'll also want to bring some backline firepower and a good healer. That's where casters come in. They keep your team in the fight and unleash devastating spell combos to turn the tide of battle. Who better to start with than our favorite prodigal priest, Anduin Writ? Harness the power of Holy to buff and sustain your team's health throughout the fight, while also delivering consistent damage to the enemy team. As a leader of humans in Azeroth, Anduin's abilities are significantly amplified when fighting alongside more of his kin. Moving on, ready your ahs and chat, because Blinkfox is up next as another caster in Hearthstone Mercenaries. This crafty K9 of the Arcane uses the enemy team's abilities against them, while also refreshing and hastening friendly cooldowns. Notice the Arcane combo keyword. In Mercenaries, this means a bonus effect if a previous arcane ability was used by another member of the team this turn. And yes, there are combos for all schools of magic. We'll be checking out examples of spell school synergy teams later on in the show. Let's cover one more central piece of the role system. In Mercenaries, there's a relationship of strengths and weaknesses to consider when building teams and choosing engagements. Protectors deal double damage to fighters, fighters deal double damage to casters, casters deal double damage to protectors. That 2x damage multiplier applies to both attacks and abilities, but only on offense. Opportunities to target these weaknesses and deal critical damage are contextually highlighted on the game board, and when planning bounties, you'll be able to discover some information to use this system to your favor. Most of the time, it's best to have a team that can confidently take on a range of roles. In the battlefield, capitalizing on the weaknesses of your opponent's roles while being mindful of your own is a critical piece of tactical decisions. I hope you enjoyed a first look at a handful of mercenaries, and there's so much more to explore. How stats and abilities rank up as you level, treasures you discover in bounties that modify and amplify abilities, and even unique equipment for each mercenary that bolsters their kit in a variety of ways. We'll be unveiling all of that today, so stick around. Now let's check back in with Hasiba at the campfire.
Thanks, Joe, and a warm and cozy welcome from the campfire to all of you. Let's start the tour here at the centerpiece of your mercenary village, where visitors can stop by for a little R&R. During their stay, these campfire guests often have tasks you can pursue for special rewards. But the question of who will come to your village and when is mostly up to chance. In-game, visitors will appear around your campfire as seen here. Clicking on the campfire presents you with the task board, where you can see the objectives along with rewards for completion. This is pretty similar to Hearthstone's quest system. Just remember to come back to the task board after you've fulfilled the requirements to collect your reward. Speaking of task rewards, let's talk about equipment, which is often a major reason you'll want to complete a specific visitor's job. One of the core ways in which you'll define a mercenary's playstyle is through their equipment. Only one piece can be active at a time, with 3 unique options to collect and upgrade. Let's take a look at what Illidan is able to acquire. Razor Fist will provide a straightforward damage bonus to his winged assault ability. We all know Illidan loves to attack, and this defensive option will prove useful if your team is lacking in the heals department. I'm sure you can already imagine what's coming next. Of course, you'll make for one very happy betrayer if you can acquire and equip the Warglaves of Azeroth. With Warglaves in hand, Outcast attack becomes a massive threat to the enemy's flanks. Moving on, let's introduce Cairn Bloodhoof. As you'll see, his equipment options present a significant strategic decision. Reincarnation pairs great with this tanking Tauren and may even foil your opponent's command phase game plan. Swift Totem will amp up the bonus from Endurance Aura, allowing your team to unleash big abilities well ahead of your enemy's actions. Thunderous Sash, on the other hand, can make Cairn's War Stomp a frustrating hindrance to enemy teams that rely on getting in early attacks and buffs. Making sure your mercenaries are well equipped is always going to give you an edge in combat, so be sure to keep an eye on those visitors and complete their tasks to gear up. And hello again, Ben.
Cheers, Hasiba. You know, sitting around a nighttime campfire before going into battle, it almost reminds me of...
Ben! I think something's wrong with the portal.
Ah, of course, Diablo. Today, we're thrilled to announce that Hearthstone will be welcoming and fully embracing a character from a different Blizzard universe. Initially playable as a mercenary, it is now our pleasure to introduce you to the arch-rival of the Nephilim.
Is it fear that I smell? I will feast upon this world. You now speak to the Lord of Terror. There is no escape. Tremble before me. Abandon all hope. Not even death can save you from me.
The Lord of Terror will go live at the launch of Mercenaries and can be found in Mercenaries packs. He'll also be available in the Diamond Diablo pre-purchase bundle, starting today. We hope you're as excited as we are to bring a little terror to the Tavern.
Wait, you're bringing what to my tavern? Oh, hey again, everyone. Now, of course, any good village needs an upstanding tavern, and this will play an important role in your mercenary's journey. Let's take a look in-game. Once you build a tavern, it will function as your mercenary collection, where you can customize teams and individual characters. Like the card collection, you'll be able to navigate the full library of mercenaries. Each has their own page to manage portraits, abilities, and equipment. We love that Mercenaries opens up a new way to tell stories with this amazing cast of heroes and villains. That extends to the art. with representations of the characters in different stages of their own lore. We all know Arthas and his path from beloved prince to Lich King. When you first unlock a mercenary, you'll have the default portrait as shown for Arthas here. Each character also has 2 alternates which can be earned from mercenary packs and in some cases tasks. Their portraits are a snapshot of notable growth and notoriety to collect, and you'll find the theme consistent throughout the roster. On top of the portraits, there are also different frame rarities, from normal to golden to diamond, and each bringing more gravitas with added animations and effects. Next, feast your eyes on this young and adorable King Crush. He may have started out cute as a button, but once those teeth grew in... yeah, distract your enemies with extreme cuteness or intimidate with pure terror. It's up to you. As you unlock and collect portraits, you'll open up new ways to bring the mercenary characters together. Maybe you want to have Illidan, Tyrande, and Malfurion all teaming up during simpler times. In addition to customizing cosmetics, you'll come here to upgrade abilities and equipment. In Mercenaries, unlocking a higher rank of an ability significantly increases that character's power level. When a new mercenary joins your collection at level 1, they will have a single ability. The second unlocks at level 5, and the third unlocks when the character reaches level 15. Let's take a look at Millhouse's kit of Arcane Assault to compare his ability ranks. These are typically a linear increase to effectiveness, but in the case of Arcane Bolt, you'll be able to ramp up the spell damage you gain more quickly in addition to a boost in raw damage. Upgrading is done through a new in-game resource system called Mercenary Coins. Each character has their own coin, which you'll earn from bounties, PvP, and mercenary packs. Now let's shift gears to teams. In the Tavern's Mercenary Collection, you'll see a sidebar to manage teams similar to standard card decks. A team in Mercenaries is made up of 6. While you can only have 3 in play, the remaining 3 will make up the bench. When one of your in-play mercenaries falls in battle, you'll bring in a member from the bench at the end of that combat round. So far today, we've taken a look at how this huge new mode's gameplay works, with several reveals of mercenaries and their abilities, equipment, and art. What do you think, Asiba? Are we ready to dive into team building?
Absolutely. All of you have now seen the core components that define an individual mercenary. Now the fun really starts as we start looking at the bigger picture of maximizing synergies. You never know exactly which mercenaries you'll discover in the world, but there are a variety of opportunities to bring them together in complementary ways. Let's start with a few examples of the most familiar relationships: minion types. Murlocs offer versatile strength on their own and work together to overwhelm their opponents with agile aggression and power in numbers.
Now, if you're more of a land animal person, we got you covered. You'll also find plenty of Azeroth's fiercest beasts and renowned handlers.
Lead a demon army into battle and dominate your enemies with overwhelming numbers.
That's just a few of the many minion types to find and collect in Mercenaries, and having 1 to 2 ways to combine their strengths on the battlefield is highly beneficial. Now let's talk about an entirely different way mercenaries can combine their skills to make a successful team.
Spell schools have become an integral part of Hearthstone, and we're extending that approach to mercenaries in a major way. While the loyalties and motivations of certain characters may clash, combining wielders of a specific magic will unlock incredibly powerful combos and teamwork. Fire synergy can come from a traditional fire mage to elementals to a whirlwind of flames itself, and can chain their abilities to unleash AoE destruction.
Wow, that team looks pretty intense. I think we need to chill out a bit and move on to the next spell school.
There's clearly some awesome power to be harnessed using the elemental spell schools, but now let's look at the tremendous support and sustain a holy team can provide.
Now we can't show Holy without its polar opposite. The suppression and control that Shadow Magic lends can be deadly with some clever play. Again, there are plenty more spell schools to explore and build teams around in Mercenaries, but I hope you're all enjoying a preview to start considering how these synergies can be leveraged.
Definitely. We didn't even check out nature yet, and that's gotta be one of my favorites. But the show must go on. In addition to spell schools and minion types, there are other outside-the-box ways to approach combat strategy. Let's check out one more example that uses tricks, traps, and the combo keyword to build momentum.
Remember that a team has 6 mercenaries, so combining 2 to 3 of these themes amongst your roster is a pretty good idea. Alright, that wraps up this stop of the tour. I'm sticking around at the Tavern. Where are you taking these fine viewers next, Hasiba?
We're actually headed towards the portal. See you in a bit, Joe. Now it's time to see how you'll access the world and take on bounties in Mercenaries. So the portal here is what we call the travel point. Initially, you'll have to make do with a reliable Darkmoon mare to get the job done. But as you upgrade the village, the technology and capability of the travel point increases. Let's head into the game to learn a little bit more about... Wait, is that Sarge? Sarge, what are you doing? You're supposed to be in the tavern. What do you mean there's not enough cheese? There's so much cheese in there. Okay, fine. If you have to go, then pick me up a block of Darnassian Blow, please. And be careful, it's dangerous out there. We're very excited to announce that Sarge will be available as a new World of Warcraft mount when the game mode launches. Complete the Mercenaries tutorial and start your first bounty to automatically unlock Sarge on your WoW count. Interacting with the travel point is your first step to starting a bounty, which you can think of as a PvE mission. There are several zones to explore, along with progressively higher level targets to hunt. Let's dive in and head to Felwood. Here we have the available bounties with some information to help you decide on the right job. The target of a bounty will be the final boss of that run, so noting their role can be beneficial in bringing your A-team of counters. I think we'll take on Raven the Hunter's bounty for some good old Furbolg fighting. Remembering that our target is a protector, I'm thinking this arcane awesomeness team here will fare quite well, since it has all of our highest level caster mercs. So in we go to Felwood to find Raven. Every bounty map is procedurally generated, meaning you'll get unique map layouts along with randomized encounter enemies and points of interest to navigate. Clicking on the nodes gives you some details, but you'll also need to use your intuition and decide which routes to take along the way. Let's unpack some of the obstacles and rewards for clearing them that you'll find on your adventures. Minor encounters are made up of enemies that should be manageable given your team is on par with that bounty's power level. Keep your guard up though, as losing members on your team will restrict your options in the long run. Here, you'll find not all enemies have an alignment, and they can also have keyword effects like Death Rattle. Always take a moment to scope out their moves and strategize a game plan. Now, the exciting part. Encounter victories reward experience to all members of your party. On top of that, one mercenary in your party will be rewarded with a discovered treasure that can bolster stats and abilities or add an entirely new spell or attribute. Treasure bonuses last throughout that bounty run, but are not permanent upgrades to the mercenary. Side note, as long as one mercenary is still standing at the end of a battle, all damage on that mercenary will be fully recovered before the next encounter. Elite encounters work the same way, but the risks and rewards are far greater. These enemies will offer a major challenge, and it's unlikely that your party will come out unscathed. Then again, think of the super treasure. Substantially bigger bonuses come from besting these elites and can give you a crucial advantage for the final battle. You'll also come across spirit healers that simply revive any fallen members of your party. After limping away from an elite encounter, this can be a beautiful discovery that saves your bounty run. Beyond encounters and spirit healers, keep an eye out for the many other curveball points of interest that fill the roads to bounty bosses. Take the Mysterious Stranger, where choosing to engage can reveal a helpful ally, confounding adversary, or a neutral surprise. Or you can find and activate boons that empower all characters of a specific role for the rest of the bounty, including enemies. Alas, after battling your way through the twists and turns, you've made it to the end of the line. The final and greatest challenge will be your bounty target, occupying a special boss room along with their hoarded treasures. Now it's time to bring out the best of your team and maximize the value of every treasure, boon, and bonus to finish the job. Successfully completing the bounty will immediately open the treasure chest for those sweet, sweet rewards. However, if your team was wiped out at any point in the run, you'll only retain the experience gains of the run. Any particular bounty can be attempted and completed an unlimited number of times, with each instance offering a new random map with the same final boss. Since you can also glean the potential rewards by inspecting the treasure chest of a bounty's map, there's many cases where replaying and beating the same bounty for that certain special mercenary loot makes sense. Let's come back to the travel point menu, where you'll also see additional difficulties. A quick note that completing all of the bounties in each zone on normal will get your team well into the 20 to 25 level range. So what comes next? Once you upgrade the travel point in your village from a horse to a flight point, sorry horse, heroic difficulty will be unlocked. Bounty difficulties can be toggled at any time in the village. Heroic versions of a bounty will obviously scale up the power level of enemies and bosses, but there's also an increase in map size and layout that ramps up the challenge and stakes of each run. Now, if you're also wondering, hey Asiba, could you please explain that giant portal behind you? Well, that's actually the Tier 3 upgrade of the travel point. At launch, only normal and heroic bounties will be available. However, in an upcoming content update, we'll be opening up legendary difficulty, accessed by fully upgrading the travel point of your village to the portal here. This is just one big piece of the content that we have planned to follow the release of Mercenaries, as we'll also regularly be adding themed updates with new bounties, mercenaries, and the additions to the village. With that, you're well equipped to start tackling the wide world of bounties that awaits outside the village. So now let's shift gears and talk about PvP in Mercenaries. In the essence of civility, we like to keep all the drama contained here in the fighting pit. This functions as your access point to battling other players. And now I'll let our resident PvP expert, Joe, fill you in on what to expect.
So you've bested a few bounties, and now your party is ready to challenge other players. Well, step on down into the fighting pit. I'm game designer Joe Killian, here to show you the ropes of PvP and Mercenaries. Once you've unlocked and built a fighting pit in your own humble village, you'll be ready to get started. Inside, you can select from your teams and prepare, just like choosing a deck in Standard. At launch, a Mercenaries PvP match will consist of both players bringing a single team of 6, and just like in a bounty encounter, defeating your opponent's entire party will secure victory. One key difference from other game modes is that you take your party into combat as is. That means the progress you've earned in mercenary levels, ability tiers, and equipment all play a direct role into your PvP prowess. As you can imagine, the matchmaking in Mercenaries is quite a bit more complex than other game modes, since it needs to weigh all of these aspects to ensure relatively even power levels. While you'll always be paired up against opponents with teams of similar strength, we love that these factors open up a ton of potential for unique asymmetrical matches. Now let's talk strategy for a moment. Unlike PvE, where you can gather some information on what you'll be up against, in PvP, your team will face a mixed bag of opponents with varying roles and synergies. You may find yourself up against a protector-heavy orc team, or thrown into a fiery foray of elementals and casters. I like to bring beasts and nature casters, so I have good coverage of all the roles and some powerful synergies. If you want to come out swinging with all fighters, that choice is yours. Players will earn daily rewards just for participating in PvP, but with great ratings comes great rewards, and at increasing milestones, you'll unlock more and more mercenary reward chests. However, unlike the ranked chests from Standard, these contain mercenary-specific items, like mercenary packs and coins, so you can continue to expand and improve your mercenaries roster. We're incredibly excited to open up an entirely new way to PvP in Hearthstone, and now you know everything you need to get started, so it's up to you and your party. Good luck in the fighting pit, and we'll see you in Mercenaries.
Welcome back, everyone. One of my favorite aspects in PvP and Mercenaries is that you can't see your opponent's command phase actions, which often obscures combat ability order, adding a new layer of challenge to tactical decisions. On the other hand, watching some good combat chaos unfold is half the fun. Alright, let's touch on a few other areas of the village, starting with the merchant cart. Here you'll find the Mercenaries shop with, you guessed it, Mercenaries packs. This new kind of Hearthstone pack contains Mercenaries items with the same pack opening feel. Inside, you'll find coins for crafting Mercenaries or upgrading abilities and equipment, along with actual new Mercenaries and even alternate portraits. Occasionally, you might find limited time offers and deals here from the merchant, so it's good to stop by and check in. Tucked in over here is the mailbox to keep your village connected to the world. Besides your Mercenaries team's fan mail, of course, we'll also be sending updates on new content, patch changes, and other fun stuff here. So keep an eye out for the handy exclamation mark that you have unread mail. Oh hey, I think I see Joe doing a bit of combat training over there. Keep it up, Joe.
Thanks, Asiba. That's enough training for now. Let me show you the last stop on our tour, where I'll swap out swords and shields for blueprints. This workshop here is where all the constructing and upgrading happens. Throughout the day, we've explored how different areas of the village contribute to our overall journey in Mercenaries. But at the start, you'll basically have an open plot of land as your empty canvas. Then it's up to you to decide what you want to build and upgrade. When it comes to building up your village, everything is done with gold, and only gold. The first step is to create a starting version of each structure to unlock its benefits. For example, the fighting pit gives you access to PvP. From there, some structures can be upgraded for added benefits and bonuses. Upgrading the campfire, for instance, opens up more spots for visitors to come give you tasks. Speaking of the campfire, let's see how the others are doing. Well, I don't know about you two, but after all that constructing, it feels good to be back by the campfire.
You know, Millhouse conjured these, and supposedly arcane infusion tastes like blueberries.
Oh, wow.
Anyways, hey everyone at home. Along with what Joe talked through, we have plenty more exciting additions planned for the village, and you'll see those arrive in a future update. Be sure to keep some gold tucked away to get your Mercenaries the new digs. And with that, I think we'll call this tour a wrap. Ben?
Indeed, you both rocked it. Thank you so much to all of you who came along with us in seeing what Mercenaries is all about. We couldn't be more excited to welcome you into this massive new adventure. Whether your goal is conquering all the heroic bounties, ascending the PvP leaderboards, or collecting a legendary roster of renowned heroes and villains. On behalf of the team, we sincerely appreciate you continuing to support, play, and communicate with us around the hearth. We're looking forward to hearing your thoughts on today's announcements, and we'll see you at the launch of Mercenaries on October the 12th. Until next time, we'll see you in the Tavern.